Hey everybody, today I am out in Detroit taking a look hands-on with the new Carnival hybrid from Kia. This is going to be one of the most fuel-efficient minivans you can buy in North America. Kia is targeting about 32 miles per gallon combined, although EPA numbers are not quite ready yet. Let's take a look at the design up front because every Carnival also gets an update for 2025. We get new grille looks here. You'll notice that this is a big hungry grille, but actually most of it is not really used. Only that center section right there is used for cooling. Front parking sensors in this model. This is a top-end trim, of course, so we get these multi-module LED headlights here with the distinctive accent strip there for the DRL. LED fog lights below that also. If you don't get the top-end trims, then some of the models are actually going to delete one of these sort of ice cube style projection LED headlights. I think it's a really elegant look, and they've done a good job integrating the previous Kia design language into this fresher looking front end with the new tiger nose logo there. Since we're driving the top-end trim here, or looking at it because I can't drive it just yet, we also have all the blacked out elements that you see around this particular Carnival. Now if we go around the side of the Carnival here, you'll notice that those blacked out elements continue around the side of the vehicle. And we also have one of my least favorite design trends right now, which are black wheels, and you will find those on the very top end trims. Dimensionally, the Carnival hasn't changed, of course. This is still exactly in the middle of the minivan segment in North America. It actually is kind of surprising. The four main minivans offered in the US are all almost exactly the same size. This is going to compete very directly with the Chrysler Pacifica, of course, also the Toyota Sienna, because those are the only other two hybrids available in North America. The Chrysler, of course, is a plug-in hybrid. The Sienna is hybrid standard. We don't have all the pricing information just yet, but this is going to start around $40,500 for the hybrid system, plus of course destination, tax, license, etc. That puts it a little bit more expensive than the Toyota Sienna, but we do have more standard feature content in the Carnival. Coming around the back, you'll notice we also have an updated design back here. We have a very similar lighting signature in these lamp modules versus what we saw up front. And then we also get a multi-module taillight design in this particular model. If you get the lower end trims, then we don't have full LED taillights. Apparently some of the elements are going to be incandescent in that design. Again, because this is the top end trim, we have the blacked out finishes here instead of chrome finishes, and those also continue around the side. Apparently Kia said that one of the sort of complaints from owners was that they thought that this panel right here was just a little bit too bright and shiny in some of the models. So you can now opt for the blacked out piece right there. Sort of a more subtle look, I would say, versus what we saw previously. Now let's take a look under the hood. Now, unlike the Sienna, you can still get the Carnival with a traditional V6 and, of course, a regular 8-speed automatic. So if you're not a fan of hybrids, for some reason you don't want to save fuel, you can get the regular V6 engine. Logically, another reason to get the V6 is if you really do plan on towing heavier loads with your minivan, or you plan on driving up the Continental Divide with it fully loaded with a trailer on the back. Those are reasons you might want to get the regular V6. I suspect more folks are actually going to be interested in this hybrid system. It's actually a new twist on the hybrid system we've seen from Hyundai and Kia for a while. It's based around a 1.6-liter turbocharged engine and a regular 6-speed automatic, so it doesn't have that CVT-like feel we find in so many hybrids. This is going to feel more traditional. The twist with this hybrid system is they borrowed the larger electric motor out of the plug-in hybrid Sportage, not the regular hybrid Sportage. So it's a more powerful electric motor to give you more torque. It produces just under 250 horsepower, so it should be a little bit slower than the regular Carnival. However, again, you're likely going to get about 32 miles per gallon combined. Although the Sienna is rated higher than that according to the EPA, in our real-world tests, the Sienna actually fails to perform quite that well. And in fact, in most of our testing and most of the other outlets out there that have tested the Sienna versus the Pacifica hybrid, the Pacifica plug-in hybrid actually out-indexes it when it comes to fuel economy. With this, we're not quite sure yet, so stay tuned. One of the big benefits to the average minivan is that the seating position is honestly a bit more SUV-like than crossover-like. So it's a bit more upright as far as the driver and front seats than something like a Toyota Highlander. A little bit more like some body-on-frame SUVs. Also, we get this absolutely ridiculous, comfortable second row seat here, depending on the version of the Carnival you're looking at. And these second row seats in this top end trim are actually powered. They have ottomans, they power flip and fold so you can get back there into the third row. Lots and lots of room is going on here. You can even slide them side to side if you want to, so that way these two seats can get a little bit closer together. Now let me see how access is in the third row. If I press the right buttons here, Oh, that's the relax button. So I want the, apparently I'm not finding the right button here. But you can always tilt and slide, of course, to get back there in the third row as well. Let's peek at that. If you don't get the top end seat option where we have heated, ventilated, powered second row seats, it's a lot easier to get into the third row. And that's what I suspect most folks are going to opt for. We have quite a lot of room back here. If these seats are in more of an upright position, my head is touching the ceiling. You'll find a little bit more headroom in some, but you can recline these seats and get a more comfortable seating position. Also, we have air vents back here, latch anchors in the third row, and of course, 3 seat belts in the way back. Now, most of the plastics on the sides, we're going to take a look at that in a bit. They're hard back here in the third row, of course, because a lot of folks are going to keep the third row folded most of the time. And even though it is a little bit tricky, you can do it actually from back here in the third row, and that's where we get absolutely enormous amounts of cargo capacity. That's the big reason you'd want to choose this over even some of the larger 3-row crossovers like a Traverse or an Acadia. You're simply going to get more room back here. Going in for a closer look on the second row, here are what the seat controls look like. We have, of course, the power seat option, as I said before, in this model. If you're interested in second row seats that move much more rapidly, you're going to want to opt for the model without this second row seat package. Of course, that's also how you're going to get the most room in the back and the most seats as well. We have a touchscreen infotainment system back here in the second row. If you want to know more about that, check out an upcoming video. In addition to the exterior redesign, the interior has also received some pretty major changes. Most of the dashboard has been redesigned for 2025. We have a multi-level dash design here, soft touch plastics up above, new ambient lighting strips around the interior. You can really see them right there on this gloss plastic strip. The gloss plastic strip is actually my only concern with durability in here because it is going to scratch more easily than the matte plastics that we find lower on the dashboard. The ambient lighting extends to the door panels right there by the door handles, as you can see. We also have the Bose premium audio system in this particular model and redesigned front door panels as well. The seats, they look very similar to the outgoing model. It's a little bit difficult to tell on camera, but these seats are sort of an off ivory meets navy blue design, I guess you'd say. Like we find in some other Hyundai and Kia vehicles, we have power controls for the front passenger seat right there on the side. I do wonder how many kids are going to play with that, because that's exactly something I would do with my parents' minivan. Now, moving up here, we have the new touchscreen infotainment system. It's reminding us that the battery is discharging. This is going to support wireless CarPlay, wireless Android Auto. It's also going to support some upcoming features that they have yet to release. They've promised gaming on this system and a number of other connected features. This is over-the-air updatable in case you're wondering. Coupled with that is a big full-screen LCD instrument cluster over there. And in this model, we also have a color heads-up display on top of the dashboard, something that's not offered in all the competition. Down the center console here, we find the controls for the dual-zone automatic climate control, or actually I should say the tri-zone system, because there's of course a separate zone for the back. But we do find that we have some touch controls here, not my preference, and the dual-purpose touch controls that we also found in the EV6. So if I click this button here, you'll notice that these knobs change from the climate control to the infotainment system, and invariably in the EV6 long-term vehicle that we had, I found myself in the wrong mode. There's the engine start-stop button, pretty discreetly placed over there. Some USB-C interface ports there. You can choose whether that's a charge only or a USB interface port with that button. 2 big cup holders and lots of storage going on here in the center, but you notice that unlike most minivans, we don't have access to the floor area. This is because Kia wanted this interior to look more SUV-like, so there's no storage bin underneath that center console. We have a rotary style shifter right here in the middle. Park is that button right there. This looks like it's been redesigned, and it actually has some kind of interesting, cool elements inside. It has the knurled edge around there, and under this clear plastic section, there's more of that knurled detailing. Over here we have the drive mode selector, auto brake hold, the controls to the heated and ventilated seats, heated steering wheel, parking sensors, etc. Lots of nice functionality here. And again, in this model, the second row seats are also heated and ventilated. We then have a smallish storage area here, and the Carnival is now going to be using the new Kia key that we've seen in some of their other models. The steering wheel, that's a relatively new design as well. On the left side of the wheel, we have the controls for the infotainment system, and then on the right side of the steering wheel, we have the controls for the radar adaptive cruise control, and of course the aggressive lane centering program. Moving up to the ceiling area, you can see that we have the rear view camera set up instead of the rear view mirror. You can obviously opt for the mirror if you flip that right there like that. Then we have the controls for the panoramic sunroof setup, and this is a 2-pane sunroof. So we have a regular sized panel up here just above the driver and front passenger, and then a secondary sunroof back there for the second row passengers. This is not quite as large as some of the sunroofs that we find in the segment, but I do appreciate that we have 2 separate openings in a way, so that way, regardless of what row you're in, you can do your own thing. Over here we find the controls for the rear climate control. Those are over there on the passenger side ceiling. The rear seat entertainment system is running software that's pretty similar to other Hyundai and Kia vehicles that we've seen before. This is the latest software package, which of course includes downloadable apps depending on your available network connection, streaming video, things like that, just as you'd expect. You could also cast your own video here using the HDMI input, of course. The HDMI input, that's over here on the passenger side, along with the USB-C power port. Before we take a look at the cargo area, let's take a look back here in the third row. You can see that we also have window shades for those relatively small third row windows. That is one of the downsides to the sort of Un-Minivan design on the outside, is that we do have relatively small portals in the back. Hard plastics back there for the armrest. We have lots of cup holders back here, sort of a juice box holder up front, 2 round cup holders behind, and then USB charge ports for every row. Back here in the cargo area, we have rear seats that flip and fold in basically the same manner as every other minivan in America. Let's see if we can do this side one-handed, since I am holding the camera right now. Just push down that headrest there, pull the straps in order, reverse, of course, 2, and then 1 to fold that into the floor right like that, and then the reverse procedure to get that seat back up. It's actually a little bit easier to pull them back up one-handed, depending on the position you want that seat to be in. Over here we have a built-in 100-watt inverter port. I am surprised that the inverter output isn't a little bit higher given the electric motor and generator unit in the hybrid model. This is a really good area to show you the 2-tone interior design that we have here, sort of the upper ivory sections and then the navy blue sections on the lower plastics here. It actually, I guess, could be considered a 3-tone because the backs of the seats, that's charcoal. So depending on the look you want, there are a number of different color options available on the inside. I do kind of like this tri-tone blue and ivory setup. This is something that Kia has been doing in other vehicles in their lineup, and I think it looks really good here in the Carnival as well. Again, if you're interested in the Carnival Hybrid, they're going to start around $40,500, plus, of course, destination. And if you get carried away with options, you can get it over $50,000. But Kia is quick to remind me that there are a ton of features on the inside that you simply cannot get in the competition, or most of the competition doesn't offer until absolutely top-end trims, and they're going to be offered at lower price points in the Carnival. Kia is really still trying to make this sort of Un-Minivan thing work with the Carnival, and I like the look. Even though it obviously still has sliding doors, it certainly looks less minivan-like, especially versus the Pacifica from Chrysler. I would say that actually the Honda Odyssey looks less minivan than general as well, but this also looks more SUV than a Toyota Sienna. I think the roof rails up here also help that particular look. But there's no denying that this is as practical as a minivan, of course. Excluding, of course, that center console up front, which is really the key difference in terms of interior design between this, the Odyssey, Sienna, etc. It's going to be a little bit less stuff practical, I guess, between the front seats, but it is going to look more SUV-like with, of course, the practicality of the hybrid system and the big cargo area in the back. If you recall our minivan test from a few years ago where we had all of the main minivans offered in the United States, including the Mercedes minivan in at the same time, this actually was the class winner when it came to cargo capacity. You can stuff 2 more 24-inch roller bags back there in the cargo area than any other minivan offered in the US. And now you can do that with about 32 miles per gallon. Let me know what you think about that down there in the comment section below. If I had one request from Kia, it would simply be to couple the hybrid system with all-wheel drive. That's still the only feature missing, and it's still the reason that you might want to choose the Toyota or, of course, the Chrysler, because you can get a hybrid with all-wheel drive in the Toyota lineup, and you can get a non-hybrid with all-wheel drive over there with the Chrysler. See all of you later.